Hello and welcome back to Renovating Orchard Cottage. Now, it's been such a long time since we did our last video, and so many people have reached out and said, why have you stopped with your YouTube content? Well, we had very good reason to do that, and I'm excited to share with you that we've actually been filmed for a number of months for a new Channel 4 show, and it's called Sarah Beeny's New Country Lives, and it follows us as a family as we've moved here to the countryside and have been taking on a number of different projects. So it's on Channel 4 now, be sure to check it out. But that's why we haven't been featuring all of the videos and all of the content as we've been going, because it's actually been filmed for the Channel 4 show. The last video that we posted, which hopefully you've seen, is of our outbuilding. So we've got a very dilapidated outbuilding that's surrounded by vegetation, and we wanted to do it up and turn it into guest accommodation. And you might remember, if you've seen the video, that it was in a pretty bad state. It had been used by the previous owners as a bedroom, guest room as well, and a bathroom. So we thought, well, actually all we really need to do is to renovate it and do it up, keep everything exactly as it is, and hopefully with a little bit of work we can turn it into something really nice. Well, spoiler alert, we have managed to turn it into something really nice, but it's taken so much more work and effort than we ever imagined. But I now can reveal to you the new completed lodge. Well, I say completed, I mean no project is ever completed. We're still working on the landscaping around the outside of the lodge at the moment, so you have to excuse that. And I'll do another video later on about the inside of the lodge, and I'll go into detail about what we've done inside. But for now, take a look at the outside. You'll remember, hopefully, from the video that it was surrounded by all this thick vegetation. You couldn't really see half of it, and it was all kind of dilapidated, and we had water in there, and there was mold inside, and it was damp. And now we've got something that looks very different indeed. So there we go, there is the new lodge, and it's watertight and currently being used as we speak. As you can see, we've got lots to do around the outside, to do some landscaping, which I'm working on at the moment, but a huge improvement and a massive step forward from where we were when we posted our last video. So let's take a look. So as I said, the amount of work that this took was so much more than we ever anticipated. The building had pre-existed for so many years, and we knew that because we had found it on aerial photography. So we knew that it existed for a while, and it had been used as a bedroom and bathroom. We could tell because there was a bed here, and the bathroom had been used when we bought the house. So we wanted to keep it for the same purpose. We just wanted to renovate it and to do it up. And our renovation turned into a bit more of a rebuild. For one, as soon as we took the old cladding off, we found that there was no waterproof membrane underneath, so no felt. So the water had gone straight through the cladding into the wood below and soaked everything, which is why it was so damp. And you'll remember all the video of the damp and the water in every room all across the ceiling. Well, that's why they just hadn't installed a waterproof membrane, so everything had just rotten and was terrible. Also the structure was in a really terrible state. We had hoped again that we could use the base structure, but that wasn't the case. It wasn't structurally sound. The cross beams weren't long enough. They weren't supported correctly at the sides, at the ends. It wasn't safe, and there weren't enough of them. So all of that had to be redone as well. And then also the insulation. The insulation wasn't really thick enough, and what we've done here is to install so much insulation. I've actually spec'd it to be warmer than a new build. So a new build these days, in terms of the walls, should have a U value of 0.3, but I've actually spec'd it to 0.28. So there's so much insulation in there, it just keeps lovely and warm and toasty, and is really, really, really efficient. Also the roof, we've redone the roof. That structurally had to be redone. Again, we kept everything the same height and the same as it was, but it now has far more insulation in there. And in addition to that, we've also got a rubber membrane installed. So it's a rubber roof now to make sure that it keeps all of the rain out and will last for a number of years. And also the windows. Again, we were going to keep the existing windows, but they ended up being in quite a state. And as we were going to so much effort with the rest of the building, we wanted to make sure that we put new windows and doors in. So there's new windows and doors, double glazed throughout. So that will make a real difference as well to the insulation and the heat in the house. As you can see, there's lots of groundworks that we're just starting here, and we're using some old rocks and things that we found around the garden as a retaining wall, because we've dropped the ground level at this point to make sure that the water doesn't run to the lodge. There's already a French drain that the previous owners have put around it, which goes to the ditch at the side, so that's okay. But this ground level here was too high, and we're just dropping that at the moment and then building this retaining wall out of old stones that we found around the garden and the property. And probably the biggest thing I want to talk about is actually the cladding. The cladding was one of the hardest decisions for us to make. We wanted to make sure that we found something that was modern, that would fit the project that we were doing, and also wouldn't cost us an absolute fortune. And thankfully we've managed to find this cladding by Cedral Facade, and it is absolutely incredible. So let's just zoom in and have a good look at the cladding. In terms of the cladding, our specification really was to make sure that we found something that was sustainable. We absolutely wanted to find something that was a good, sustainable product, and this is brilliant. This stuff is only made of cement, cellulose, I think sand, some synthetic fibres and water, and that's all that goes into it. And it's a brilliant finish. It's got this kind of wood effect, and we've obviously had it put in a sort of a shiplap pattern where they're overlapping, so it gives that kind of nice country look to the lodge. It's really low maintenance, and that for us was one of the things that Sarah, as part of our TV show, gave us advice on. She said, just make sure we're taking on a property this size, and the house and the lodge and the garden and the grounds, just make sure that you don't put something on there in the way of cladding that will end up taking a lot of our time and requiring lots of maintenance. And this product is fantastic. It's really low maintenance. I literally don't have to do anything to it. I think if it gets dirty, I may have to put some, just wash it down with some soapy water. But apart from that, there's absolutely nothing that I have to do to this. It will just look after itself. And it lasts for years. So the minimum life expectancy of this is 50 years. So I'm approaching 40, so this will be absolutely fine till at least when I'm 90 years old. So nothing to worry about whatsoever on that front. And then also in terms of the performance, so over here, that is directly south facing. So we get the sun, the immediate sun on it, and I was worried about warp. Or if I put a natural product on there, about the sun deteriorating it. Well, with this I don't have to worry about that at all. And also, as you can see up there, we get the wind off of the hills, and the lodge is the first thing that wind hits, so it really needed to withstand some harsh conditions. But this doesn't rot, it doesn't rust, it doesn't warp, and won't crack, and it's got great thermal stability. So as I said, with the sun hitting that, because it's directly south facing, there won't be any problems with that whatsoever. And also the other thing is fire classification. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, there's been a number of stories in the media about there being issues with cladding on buildings, and we wanted to make sure that there was no concern with regard to fire risk. And again, this product complies with that regard, so it does everything that we need it to do. And then I guess the other thing to mention is it was super easy to install. So you can install it yourself actually, and there's loads of online videos and technical documents and everything that you might need to install it yourself. There's actually a Cedral calculator on their website that you can use, and all you need to do is put in some basic measurements, and basically it tells you everything that you need to buy, how much you need to buy, all the accessories that you need. It literally gives you a detailed list of what you need to order to complete the job, so it makes it super easy with regard to that. But then also you could, if you wanted to, choose a professional installer. So there's a list of professional installers, and on their website you can get a full quote with an estimated cost, and also contact one of their installers. So that's another option if you wanted someone to install that for you. And also the other thing is getting help and support. I was a bit worried about buying something cladding wise only to find out that, you know, if I started to install it and had an issue, what would I do? If I just ordered it online from an unknown store, from a brand I wasn't too you know, familiar with, what would the impact be if I then found out actually I wasn't quite sure how to clad around the windows or fit some of the trims, and these guys were fantastic. There's a local area sales manager that you can get in contact with that helps you throughout the build, so they're like a constant means of contact, which is really helpful and we found useful. And then there's also a technical support line, so if we had an issue we could just give them a ring and say, actually, how do you fit this, or how do you fit that, or how does this work? So there was always someone on hand, and that proved itself very useful indeed. And then in addition to that, of course, we could chat to them either on the phone or on the live chat, and there were loads of videos of how to do everything. And I think that was the biggest sway really, was, you know, there was a video about how to fit the cladding, how to fit the trims, all the various bits that you would need to know. Everything was there. So the other thing that's worth mentioning here is around the style and the colour choices. So on their website, so on the Cedral Facade website, you can order some samples. So we ordered 2 samples, came with a leaflet with all the information about it, and there's 2 different styles actually. There's either click, which is this one, where they put the panels next to each other, which gives you that kind of ultra modern look, or there's the lap, which is obviously what we've gone for. Now it's the same product, you just fit it in a slightly different way, and it comes with different accessories. But with the lap, you put one lapping over the other like we've got, which is more of a shiplap kind of country look, which really fitted with what we were after. And these were the samples that we got through. We considered this one, which was the sage green. You can get it in 2 finishes actually, either a smooth finish again for that kind of more modern look, or you can get it with a wood grain. So we've gone with the wood grain, and I think it looks really nice. But the one we went for in the end was this green grey, and we thought that with the dark windows this looked really, really nice, and it gives you the kind of finish that you would well, that we hoped for, which is that it looks new, but it also looks not too modern and fits in with the rest of the house and the surroundings. So yeah, we were really, really pleased with that. And as you can see on the back, there are so many colours to choose from. So with that number of colours, with the 2 different finishes and the 2 different ways of fitting it, there's so much selection. It was just a difficult decision for us is which one of the many colours to choose from. So yeah, check out Cedral Facades on their website and make sure you get a quote, because you might be surprised at the cost actually. It's really quite cost effective. And also on Instagram, we looked on Instagram because there's lots of examples of other buildings that have used it and applied it in different situations. So it's definitely worth having a look on their Instagram account. But in the meantime, make sure that you tune into Channel 4 to see us on Sarah Beeny's New Country Lives. And please make sure that you like, comment and subscribe. And remember that when you do subscribe, to hit the bell icon, and then you'll be notified on the next video. But great to be back again, and look forward to the next video.